Welcome to our very first episode of MotiVETed Mornings with Quincy and Renee. I'm Dr. Quincy Hawley and this is Renee Michelle, and we are the co-founders of a company called Get MotiVETed, which provides well-being solutions to all members of the veterinary community. So from pre-veterinary students to seasoned veterinarians and everyone in between, we provide tools, strategies, and resources and content for everyone.
That's right. And our mission is to raise the awareness and implementation of personal development and mindfulness as being two key areas amongst all of the tools to help manage things like compassion fatigue or burnout, even suicidal ideation for the paraprofessionals in the hospitals to even the members of academia or pharmaceutical units of the veterinary industry to help begin shifting the culture toward one that is supporting well-being within the profession.
Absolutely, and our ultimate purpose is to make poor veterinary well-being a thing of the past, and I know for a fact that we can help the profession and the veterinary community to achieve that because we've both been there before. We've both been in positions where we were suffering maybe from a little bit of depression, or maybe we had burnout, compassion fatigue, and through the tools and the resources that we're going to be covering on these episodes, we hope to help any other members of the veterinary community that are suffering to not suffer any longer.
That's right, and even improve their overall level of well-being once you move into a state of thriving, maybe where we have come ourselves. We understand that there's always room for refinement and enhancing your quality of life.
Absolutely.
And with that being said, we're going to move into understanding a little bit more about what brings us here today and who we are as individuals.
Absolutely.
Dr. Hawley, so I understand that you've been on a personal and professional journey toward well-being for the past, we'll say 5-year stretch, maybe a little bit longer. Can you share some key points with us?
Yes, so my story is that I am from a small town called Oxford, North Carolina, grew up with an amazing family, had an amazing mother, an amazing father. My mom was a school teacher and she was absolutely just the best mom. I felt like I had the best parents ever. And I went to North Carolina A&T State University on a full ride tennis scholarship. Did that for 4 years, and then in 2009, from 2009 to 2013, I went to NC State's College of Veterinary Medicine, where I got my veterinary degree. And I moved to Fayetteville, North Carolina to practice small animal for a large corporate practice. It was, I enjoyed the job. I did enjoy the job. I had a great rapport with the clients. I had a great rapport with my coworkers, both the doctors, the nurses, and all the other support staff. I had a great mentor. I had a great boss at that point in terms of veterinary medicine. But I believe that I was in a situation that quickly spiraled into a burnout situation. My performance and my productivity were great. I was doing great in that department, but I believe that the full package of having such a high case load and surgery load and just accepting everything that walked through the door, along with the general circumstances and conditions and life events that can happen through life that we all go through as human beings, that without having goals, without continuing to dream about the absolute best life possible that I wanted for myself, that I got really, really, really complacent with life. Every day became just another day, if you will. I didn't have any tools to help me cope with the difficult days that come with a really, really, really busy practice. And not having those tools, not having the strategies, and not understanding the life principles that we can actually create the lives that we want for ourselves, and not having those goals, I got off track. I was really, really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
I eventually started self-medicating. So I didn't have like any type of coping mechanisms to handle the day-to-day struggles and stress that I was going through. So what I did was I used alcohol to actually achieve the state of mind that I wanted, because I didn't have anything else at that point,
Mm-hmm.
right? So on the way home, I would literally stop by the first gas station that I would see on the way home. I would get an alcoholic beverage, get a cup, I'd pour the drink in the cup, and I would drink that on the way home. And when I got home, I would go to the trunk of my other car, which had some liquor in it, and I would take a couple of shots of that before I went into the house.
Did anyone know?
My wife knew. I don't think that she knew the extent of sort of what I was going through and what I was doing. And I think it's important to note that I didn't really know that I was going through anything. I was just doing me, basically, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the self-medicating, it works. You don't really know that you're in a state of depression necessarily. You don't really know that you're going through the struggle, that you're suffering from poor well-being, because you think what you're doing at any given time is probably halfway normal. And I don't think any of my colleagues knew, and I don't think anyone would have ever suspected, because
Right.
I was performing and producing as a veterinarian should.
Mm-hmm.
As
Okay.
a veterinarian should. That carried on for like the first 3 years after graduating from veterinary school, and it was very frequent. But it was the day after the presidential election that something came over me. So I'm an avid fan of the stock market, and I was looking at stocks, and I had a realization, and I realized that I was running myself into the ground, basically. And I was probably going to end up killing myself, if not intentionally, but through the behaviors and the practices that I had, through the I gained a lot of weight. I was eating just all types of poor food. The food was another thing that kind of helps with the stress. So the more stressful my morning when I was at work, the fattier the meal that I actually craved and desired and wanted to have when I would go to lunch. And so I just stuff it all in and, have that extreme full feeling when I went back to work. But I made a commitment to myself. I made a decision on that day that I was going to pursue the absolute best life possible for myself for the rest of my life. And I decided to spend every second, minute, hour, day, week, and month of the rest of my life pursuing my full potential as a human being. And that was one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my entire life. And the cool thing is that I know that anyone can make a decision like that. Anyone can decide to pursue greatness, and just their life will manifest in the exact way that they're carrying themselves.
Okay, what kind of challenges do you think that you've had since making that decision?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the challenges that I had prior to making my transformation were the typical challenges that every human being faces, and I'm sure that most veterinarians are kind of dealing with. So between the student loan debts and other bills and circumstances and conditions and life events that can happen, I lost 3 uncles in over the course of a year and a half, all due to heart-related disease. So, people died, and I had difficult cases that maybe I couldn't solve, or things that just didn't work out in general. But the challenges that I have now after making that transformation are completely different. I'm dealing with challenges of which opportunity am I going to take? Which of these amazing opportunities that have come about am I going to take? Like, what amazing things am I going to do on any given day? And it's a completely different lifestyle that I was living before. So yes, I still have some of those day-to-day challenges, but I don't even see them as challenges anymore. I see them as opportunities for me to grow. So any difficulty that comes about, I look for the advantage and the disadvantage, and I move forward, and I'm actually thankful for it. And with this new perspective and outlook on life, my worst days now become my best days. So the more challenges, the better at the end of the day.
Yeah, so do you think that do you feel like you got the support you needed when, after making that decision and moving into this new way of life, do you feel like, has that been a challenge for you, or do you feel like people have supported you, not supported you? Is there an advantage in that? Only because people have asked me that along the way, when you're kind of going against the grain or against the herd. Do you feel like people support you?
The individuals who understand what we're trying to do as entrepreneurs and as individuals who ultimately want a life of well-being, a life where every single day is controlled by myself as opposed by external conditions and factors and circumstances. The people who understand that lifestyle and those concepts, they've been supportive because they get it, right? So I've had some really amazing mentors that have come about, and once you make a decision to pursue the absolute best life possible, individuals who are doing the exact same thing just start to come out of nowhere.
Okay.
And so yes, they are supportive, and
Good. Is there anything else that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I would say that to anyone who may be going through anything right now, whether it's burnout, compassion fatigue, or something completely unrelated to all of that, you can and you should create the life that you want to live. And there are just, it seems there are unlimited resources that are out there to help an individual be able to achieve the life that they want to live, not the life that their parents wanted them to live, not the life that, the status quo says that they should live. But those resources are there. All the people, the time is there, and you can actually achieve that which you want. That's been my experience, at least.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us, and I'm certain that other people will appreciate the same. I think it's something really spectacular when we are able to hear other people's stories and even have it resonate with us. And I believe it breeds empathy to hear people's true stories, and maybe not just what we see through the lenses of performance or, not knowing someone fully.
Absolutely.
So I look forward to
Absolutely.
diving into that a little bit more on a different episode and tackling some of the other subjects that you mentioned briefly, like burnout and compassion fatigue, again on other episodes.
If you enjoy my story and feel that it could be valuable to some other human being in the world, please share it with your friends, colleagues, and veterinary teams, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would love to hear from any of our fellow colleagues in the veterinary community, so I'll leave you with a few questions. How would you score your life in terms of well-being on a scale of 1 to 10? With 10 being you are living life to the fullest, and 1 meaning you have a lot of work to do. And the second question is, what do you need to do to get your score to a 10? Leave a comment below and we'll be sure to follow up with you. You can visit us online at www.getmotivated.com or feel free to email or call us. It is our goal to make poor well-being in the veterinary community a thing of the past, and with your help, we can certainly achieve this goal. Thanks again, and we hope you tune in to our next episode.